Here are a couple of ways in which not being honest about race has seriously hurt us as a whole. Back in the day, in the 30s and 40s, if you look at high schools all over the country, they were all white and the schools were beautiful. They were built like temples because we had that kind of reverence for education. And the kids performed phenomenally. We were at the top of every educational thing all over the world. And then the schools got integrated. And no longer did it didn't feel like a community anymore because it was white and black in a school, but there was no white and black community outside the school. Before there had been the whole community was white, and so the whole school was just an extension of the community. But when that happened, integration, there was no longer that community feel at schools, and that tore everything apart. Plus, the black kids came from a totally different world. They didn't grow up in the Mayberry that most white people honestly do grow up in. And so they were in the schools and they were bringing the scores down terribly and have been for, a few decades until finally Obama and all of them said, it's going to stop. It's going to stop. And they started blaming the teachers and had that Asian woman with the broom. We're going to sweep out the teachers and Arnie Duncan. And the teachers are at the bottom of the educational ladder. It can't be their fault. And that's the kind of stupidity that always happens. They're saying, if the teachers had just taught better, because they can't look at it. They can't say, listen, we've introduced all these black children into the white schools, and now the community in the schools is fragmented and it's not cohesive. So you don't have that feeling of togetherness that helps you move forward. Also, the black kids come from really not environments where education is not held up as something important. And so that's what's really bringing down the scores. But since you can't be honest about race, since we haven't been, we couldn't say that. And then again, with the police and the black people getting shot, they've got 10, let's say they've got 5, 10, 20 people in the whole country that were shot by police that they're so upset about. Given how many people the police shoot, that is such a small number. That is such a small number out of that many. There are going to be that many mistakes in anything. And if you look at the cases, which I have there, it's not even clear that they were in the wrong given the environment in which those police were working. But even so, they've blamed the police. It's the police's fault. And they're just like the teachers. They are the bottom of the law enforcement apparatus. The politicians, the sheriff, the judges, the court system, all of that should be looked at because the police don't do anything that the rest of that apparatus doesn't let them do. Just like in education, it's not the teacher's fault. The teachers do exactly what they are told. And since we won't look at things honestly and won't hold the people at the top to be accountable and say, listen, if the education system is messed up, then the people at the top of education are the problem, and how we're running the thing from the top, and if people are getting shot incorrectly in law enforcement, then we need to look at the whole thing and how is it filtering down to this serious mistake, or else we're going to do what we've just done, is make the education system worse by beating up on the teachers who are the direct contact with the students, and so they feel dehumanized, and now their interactions are terribly poor, or do the same thing to the police, and so those interactions are going to get worse than they are already, because that's a kind of a weird situation for an interaction to begin with, because you're power and law and guns and handcuffs and cages. And those are the things that we're going to have to start doing, is looking at the top of the system and see how it filters down, and quit blaming the people at the bottom if we're going to really make things better, instead of just screaming and yelling and making a mess that's leaving us all feeling very uncomfortable.